How's it going, guys? I hope you're all doing well out there today, wherever you are in the world. And in this video, we're going to take a look at my newish, it's already featured in quite a few videos, but my Suhr Classic Pro S in this lovely Shoreline Gold finish. Let's make sure I've got some good lighting on it. And I want to show off a few tones and talk about the wiring and things because it's a little bit different. But I also want to pose the question of, is it worth the wait? I've wanted a Suhr guitar for years and years and years now and couldn't really justify the price or actually find one at a price that I deemed reasonable. It just so happens I've been buying, trading and selling a load of gear as of late, and a friend of mine actually had this guitar, and you may have noticed in some other videos I had a Morgan SW50R head that was sat there for a few videos. I no longer have that. He has that, and I have this Suhr Classic Pro, which is I'm really loving so far. So off the bat, I just want to quickly run through the electronics and wiring so you know where we stand. When I got this guitar from my friend, it was 3 single coils and it was the Suhr V70 pickups. I'm not a big fan of bridge single coils on a Strat. It had to be a humbucker, but fortunately he had a spare HSS pickguard, so I just had to wire it myself. So the first thing was this Suhr SSV humbucker in the back, which he also provided for me. Thanks, Pat. And then in the middle, we still have the V70. I did have a pair of V60s to put in this, but the middle one was reverse wound, reverse polarity, which messes with the Suhr silent single coil. So that stayed as a V70 for now. And then in the neck, I've got the Suhr V60LP, which is more to my taste than the V70s were. The V70s were a nice sounding pickup, but I prefer something slightly warmer, a bit more vintage sounding perhaps. So that's what's in the neck. And this set actually works quite well. It's a bit of a mismatch, but it works well. I've got the standard volume and 2 tones. I have changed the treble bleed on the volume pot because the stock Suhr one was a bit immediate for me. I've gone to the values that I favour. On the pickup selector, we've got bridge humbucker all the way down. Then I initially, on all other guitars that I've played, I always have the bridge split in that position to go with the middle pickup. But there's something about this SSV that works really well in full humbucker mode. It's a fairly, it's a lower output humbucker, and it's got a lot of bite and brightness, which I'm really getting used to. A lot of my other guitars that more of a mid-focus bridge pickup, this is really open sounding. So I initially had it split, but I don't anymore. So that pickup is humbucker and single coil, and Suhr were really good about providing all the documentation for me to rewire as well, which was very cool. Thank you, Suhr. In the middle position of the switch, normally it's your middle pickup on its own, but I actually have the bridge split and the neck, so you get kind of a telly type tone. I never really used the middle pickup on its own, so I found that to be a more useful option for that. Then you've got the standard, those 2, and neck on its own. Makes for a really versatile guitar and something that I'm really bonding with. Now we talked about it, let's have a quick listen to all those positions. Currently set clean into a Cherrier Tone Dumble clone, just placed there. We'll start off with the neck pickup, full tone, full volume, sounds like this. Then we've got neck and middle. Then we've got the middle position, which is bridge split and neck. I'm hoping it comes across in the video, but this is a really resonant guitar. It's got a lot of body to it. Then we've got the bridge humbucker in middle position. Then And then bridge humbucker into a clean amp is not something I'd normally use, but because of the output and kind of frequency response to this pickup, even the bridge pickup sounds good, clean, hitting a clean amp. Moving over to something with a bit more breakup, this is a Vox AC15 set up for that classic chimey Vox crunch. Over to the EVH lunchbox head now for a little bit of crunch. Although in its current configuration, I'd say it leans more towards the vintage side of things, it does handle the high gain thing really well. The SSV pickup being so open gives a really nice sound with high gain. So this is the VHT Pitbull. If you want to hear this guitar in some different contexts and perhaps in a mix, I've got some videos on YouTube and Instagram using it, and also it will be featured in other videos coming up soon. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. That was just kind of like a brief flyby of the kind of tones that I'm getting out of it. I don't want to bore you with loads and loads of playing, especially the state of my playing today. So I want to talk a little bit now about my impressions of this guitar and the feel of it and things that unfortunately you can't experience yourself. So I'm going to do my best to verbalize it. The first thing that I have to talk about is the necks. The necks on Suhr guitars for me are absolutely second to none. They're a real satin kind of finish on the back of the neck, and they are just a delight to play. There's something about Suhr necks that I feel like if I was blindfolded I could easily pick them out of a lineup. It's quite a unique feeling. If you haven't tried one, I recommend you do. I'd imagine it's not for everyone. It's super precise feeling, and I think I've seen some people accuse Suhr guitars of feeling clinical, but to me it's just nothing gets in the way of what you're actually doing on the guitar. Nothing to hide behind, which is quite unfortunate. The hardware that comes on this guitar is phenomenal. It's a Goto 510. It feels really stable, really not flimsy in the least. It's a really solid piece of kit. Suhr have their own branded locking tuners on the back as well, which work a treat. And the setup on this guitar, I know I got it pre-owned, but I'd imagine like when I've played Suhrs in shops and things, the setup is always bang on. I had to tweak this one slightly because it was a little low for me and also had 9s on it. It's now got my choice of strings, which is the Elixir OptiWeb 10 to 46, I think. Yes, these guitars are expensive. I appreciate that, but there is a certain level of attention to detail and feel and hard-wearingness that you get from a guitar at this price point that you just don't get lower than that. The thing that I would compare this to most is my FGN guitar that you've seen in other videos. Let me just grab it. So this is my FGN Odyssey. You've probably seen it in a ton of videos. If you're new here, I did a video all about it. I'll put a link somewhere for you to check out. And in that video, I said at the time I was looking for something very Suhr-esque, ideally a Suhr, but I didn't have the cash for it at the time. And this has been a phenomenal stand-in. I was looking at things like the Ibanez AZ and the Charvel DK24, and this came out on top. It fitted nicely in that vintage modern kind of thing. And also if you look at like the headstock and stuff, I think it's clearly going after that Suhr type thing. I'm pretty sure I paid about £600 for this, but it was reduced. I think they were about $750 when they were new. And then you have to look at something like the Suhr, which is probably, I don't know what the Classic Pro retailed for at the time that this was purchased, but you know, you're talking about at least 3, if not 4 times the amount of this FGN. Whether it's worth it or not is entirely down to you. I wouldn't have gone out and bought a Suhr necessarily unless this one came up for the right deal. I wasn't actively searching. I mean, I did have an eBay save search, but you know what I mean? I wasn't ready to drop that amount of money on that guitar. It's just that it came up for the right deal at the right price. I've always been someone that prefers playing more budget-friendly guitars, and obviously as due in some part of my financial standing as a full-time musician, but also my guitars get gigged and chucked in the back of a van and blah blah blah. I can get a lot of mileage out of a guitar like this that I don't worry about all the time. Having said that, now I've got a Suhr, there's a lot of things about it that make it worth the money. The hardware is a much improved version of what's on here, much more robust. The setup and thought that's gone into the guitar itself is much more thorough on the Suhr. Although the FGN has a phenomenal neck on it for the money, the Suhr just takes the biscuit. There's something really magic about the way the neck feels, and in some respects that's worth the price of admission alone. I've always been of the opinion that if a guitar's got a good feeling neck, a lot of the other stuff can be changed, but if the neck feels shite, it's never going to get any better. The Suhr also has stainless steel frets and compound radius. I believe the FGN has a compound radius too, but this feels a bit more natural to me, the Suhr. The pickups you can't really compare too much. These are Seymour Duncan, so they're great pickups anyway, but this has been set up more for a modern voice. It's got a JB in the bridge, which is really hot, and a stacked single coil at the neck. I would say the Suhr is much more resonant and perhaps full sounding, which could be down to the hardware. I imagine it's the sum of all of the parts, including you know, the pickup choice and everything like that. But the Suhr sounds more expensive. I know that might be sounding like I'm stating the obvious, but it does. With the silent single coil system as well, Suhrs have a particular sound. I'm sure if you've played a few next to other things, you'll know what I mean. And it's a sound that I really like, but perhaps it wouldn't be your preference. So was this guitar personally worth the wait for me? Yes, it was. It has lived up to the expectations that I had, and it's completely on par with other Suhrs that I've played in the past. They obviously have a very repeatable process that gives Suhrs a particular identity, and it's something that I really bond with, both in sound and in feel. I don't want to get into what is it worth the money, because I think spending this kind of money that these are on retail is pretty crazy anyway. I've always been someone that's played basically sub £1,000 used guitars because they're always on the road, they're always getting beaten up. I don't mind leaving them places, etc., etc. Spending this much money on a guitar isn't going to make you a better player, you know, as I've proved in this video. But there's something that comes from finding exactly what you want in a guitar, and at this point in time, this was exactly what I was after. So it was absolutely worth the wait. So that was a look at my Suhr Classic Pro S in the Shoreline Gold with my really wonky pickup configuration. I hope you got what you wanted from this video. As soon as this popped up in a video, I had loads of comments asking about it and the pickups and things like that. So hopefully that has quenched your thirst for information. I didn't want to go too deep into playing because obviously these pickups are not ones that you can get as standard, I don't think, and it's my amps and my hands, so you're not going to get a vast amount of info from it other than knowing what this guitar sounds like in my hands. But it'll be featured in loads of stuff coming up. If you haven't tried Suhr guitars already, I recommend you check them out. It's a really, really just fantastically crafted instrument. Whatever you're doing with the rest of your day, I hope it's great, and I'll see you in another video soon. Cheers, guys.